Hello everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. In this video, we have Clayton and Susie speaking with Nick Viall, saying how he found out that the TikTok, that was supposed to be exposing him of cheating on Susie, but it turned out to be about a guy, a stranger, how he found out the TikTok was about him. Now this actually, I've heard every side of this story so far, and this is the first I'm hearing this side of the story. It's actually very fascinating. Now, as you guys know, Sasha here made a TikTok video saying she slept with the Bachelor, and then he found out he had a fiance or girlfriend or whatever. So she made this TikTok to call him out, and then of course they said, delete it, what are you doing? I'm not the guy, and provided her the evidence. She didn't take the bait, and then eventually she was like, all right, call the dogs off. She was getting harassed and not bullied, but harassed online, and she finally apologized. So anyway, that catches you up on the story. We're going to get in right here to what they said on Nick Viall, and also don't forget, follow me on Instagram at dneals. Double check and make sure you're subscribed. I'm having people tell me they accidentally got unsubscribed, so double check that. And also, if you're in the Los Angeles area and want to come see a stand-up show, May 2nd, I've got a show at the Haha Comedy. And May 12th, I've got another show in the Valley in Burbank at Nightcap. It's going to be a fantastic time. It's going to sell out. It'll be a ton of fun. So make sure to go on my Instagram at dneals and get your tickets. All right, let's play the clip of Susie and Clayton talking to Nick.
Communication with this person who created this false story.
I feel like Susie was talking to her a decent amount because she didn't want her to do anything reckless. And then Clayton was like, Susie, why are you talking to this woman?
Yeah. What I am most curious about, in addition to anything you want to add to it, is so much about relationships is how we get through adversity. It's not as the good is great, right? You want to have fun with your partner and you want to have a good time and you want to enjoy being around each other. But the true test of any relationship is what happens when you guys fight, or what happens when you have a disagreement, or what happens when you're just faced with adversity.
Nick's got some great points. You don't learn much about winning, you learn a lot about losing. And if you can learn how to lose with your partner and not blame each other and learn how to get over those hurdles, you'll be stronger for it. Absolutely, 100%.
Thankfully for you guys, your relationship started with adversity, so there is that. But I am curious, when something like this happens, it's very normal and understanding for people on both sides to get defensive, to even take it out at their partner, even though there's nothing to take out. So how did you, what I'm really curious about is, when this story came out, how did you hear about it? And what were conversations that you two had with each other about how you guys were going to approach this mess? That's what I'm most curious about.
So, to be honest, the first thing I did was say, I didn't really read her message. She had sent me a message saying that she slept with Clayton the night before, and I was working, so I briefly saw it, and I've actually had that happen in a relationship before. So I was like, dang, who's going to make this up? This is wild. But we are in a public relationship, and there are a lot of people that, might, that just want to meddle and stuff. So I was like, okay, this is weird. My heart sunk, though. I didn't realize it said New York, because I just briefly looked at it, and I texted Clayton. I said, hey, I'm working, but if this is true, just tell me, and we'll figure this out privately. And
so
he's like, of course it's not true.
You had to face the internal fear that it still could be true.
Yeah. I genuinely feel like Clayton is one of the most genuine, honest, upfront people, and we both say that we're not the type of people that cheat. Neither of us ever have. But we say, God forbid, if a weird alternative universe it did happen, we would be the type of people that tell on ourselves to our partner, because we're just super honest. Respect, yeah.
Both Nick and Clayton are BS.
So yeah, I did initially get that feeling of oh my gosh, because I didn't really look at the message that hard. And Clayton was like, it absolutely didn't happen. FaceTimed me immediately, literally in Arizona again. I had just FaceTimed him the night before. And he's like, yeah, she's saying that I was in New York last night. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then it was immediately okay, there's just this isn't even possible. But even if even if she was in New York, I think, or Arizona, I'm sure we would have figured it out. However, but we basically decided I trusted him. Let's approach this together. let's not talk about it publicly. Yeah, let's not give her attention. Because at the time, we're like, she's obviously just doing this for clout.
By the way, very just heartwarming when you see how Clayton addressed her in the first place through DM, saying, "Hey, you don't want to do this. You're making a mistake. Like, I don't want to call you out." You know, he kind of knew the power he had, and he didn't want to wield that power, which shows a lot because that was in a private conversation.
So we were like, let's just not even acknowledge it. But then people really did start to question Clayton, and I was like, all right, let's post about it and be done with it. We didn't ask too many questions or get too crazy about our stuff until after it was over, and I was like heading to Arizona, and we like had these conversations. And then in like the first 5 hours of our road trip, we were just like, how do we handle this? Like, neither of us have had to navigate a public relationship before. So it was weird. And we just weren't equipped to know how to handle it. So it was super weird, but we just had really open and honest conversations of like, this could happen again. Like, what is our approach moving forward? It was good for us to have those conversations. They were tough conversations, but we both just were really honest and decided the best we can do is like handle it together first and private, and then figure out how we want to approach it to the world.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Did that person, I know she issued like an apology, a public apology to like her followers or just people or to you in general. Did you speak with her privately, and did she apologize privately, and were you satisfied with that, or were you just kind of like, you know what, I don't want anything to do with this person, and which would be also understandable?
Yeah, when it pertaining to her apology, truthfully, I just wanted to move on. I didn't want to spend any more time on it. I was also talking to her privately, and I was much more upset than Susie was. And I was trying to warn her that I was like, hey, you don't want to go down this path, because when people realize that you're lying, they're going to come after you. And I said, I'm like, you don't want this. And she kind of was just like, oh, whatever, like, you did what you did. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm just telling you, this is going to backfire. And I'm really trying to help you out, because like, I don't think you realize how many people are going to come raining down on you. And then that happened. And then she changed her tone and started asking for, she's like, please tell him to stop. And I said, delete your video. Like, delete the video and issue an apology. Like, that's all you can do at this point. I said, the quicker you do it, the quicker people will move on from this. And she finally did it. You know, I mean, did she learn a lesson? I'll never know, nor do I care to ask her. I just hope that, truthfully, that nobody tries that again, because we got the receipts ready from here on out. So I think it's just one of those things where I just looked at it like, let's move on. And Susie was great. Again, she continues to impress me with how she looks at things. Yeah, she was like, let's give her grace. And I'm like, what? I was like, I'm like, why? Like, this girl brought this on herself, and I'm over here getting, again, another thing that's coming up that's going to have people turn against me. But she was like, listen, like, we don't, Clayton, she's like, when it comes to mental health, it's like, everyone's mental health matters. And right now, like, I can tell that she's struggling, so let's not like have there be a worse outcome from this. And I had to take a step back, a deep breath, and be like, yeah, okay, like, her mental health matters too. Even if she brought this on herself, I would hate to see something worse come of this.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's certainly big of both you to have that realization in the moment. Because yeah, I mean, I would empathize with like you feeling like you've taken some beatings, Clayton, and then you're like, another thing that I definitely didn't do, and it can be a challenge. Because I'd be frustrated, because I am curious. She claims to have slept with this person, whoever they were, and while maybe you look like him, I mean, at what point did she not like look, wasn't it obvious? Or I'm just like, she must have been so drunk that she maybe didn't remember what he looked like. And do we even know if he was like, I'm Clayton from The Bachelor, or did she come up to him and say?
I love how Nick's trying to like justify how this went down. I've looked at this from every angle possible, and it's like, there's no knowing what the heck happened. There is, because nothing makes sense.
You look like Clayton from The Bachelor, and he was like, sure.
Or if he really was just like, oh, you don't watch the show, I was the last one on it, and then she Googled who was the last Bachelor.
But she
And the fact that they've never found this guy makes me feel like he never said he was the Bachelor.
seemed, to your point, she seemed pretty adamant, even talking to you, that she believed it was you, which is kind of terrifying in a way.
She was adamant.
She was, yeah, and at first she was, yeah, like, your proof isn't proof, and was laughing at me, and and I just, that frustrated me. Of course, I'm like, okay, like, you want to play this game, and you're defaming me and my character, and I'm like, my character's already been questioned. I said, so you're now adding to this, and again, like, that's where, yeah, I was like, come on, one more thing, like, can I just like have a week of no BS, like, and again, but this was a difference. I don't want to compare this to like other previous, because I took actions previously that brought on a lot of the the negativity that was geared towards me. That, again, like, as I said earlier, I understand it for what it is. But this was something where I'm like, I didn't do anything. Okay, like, I was sitting in my house.
Yeah.
I was having a chill weekend before Susie showed up. I was just gonna watch some TV. I was eating pizza, and I was watching a documentary, the Kanye got documentary. I'm like, life's good. I'm just chilling. My girlfriend's about to show up here in a couple of days, and then all of a sudden I go on the internet, I see it. And I was like, oh my gosh, who is this? And all of a sudden there's all this speculation. I'm like, popcorn in hand, eating pizza. Like,
What's so funny about this is, if you remember, the first TikTok didn't out Clayton. It said a recent Bachelor. So even Clayton thought it wasn't him.
I can't wait to see who comes. Like, this sucks, but I'm really intrigued in the story. And all of a sudden she goes, like, who is it? And like, it's Clayton. I was like, oh my gosh, like, no. I'm like,
Wait, so you heard about the story before you realized people were talking about you?
Yeah,
That was a good job of Nick to like make sure to spell out what's happening here.
popped up because people were tagging
What did
me.
Matt
'Cause
James
people were
do?
tagging- Well, that was the thing, is they said they were like, oh, this happened in this girl's from Miami or from New York, and I was like, and so then people started saying,
Matt James
it's
is from
Matt.
there.
Matt's from there, and I was like, Matt. I was like, no way. I was like, Matt's such a good dude. There's no way. And I'm just like, but I'm like, this is crazy. And then they're like, give a name, and I was like, kind of sitting there like, yeah, give a name. I'm also interested. Like, curiosity's getting to me. And then all of a sudden they said Clayton. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, you really got to be kidding me. Like, I did not.
Clayton
I'm not
thought
ready
it
for
was
this.
like reality TV that he was watching on his phone. He was like, ooh,
Yeah.
drama.
What a meta moment.
Yeah, I'm like refreshing by the minute. I was like, oh man, like,
This is juicy.
I'm watching the Kanye documentary. I got a little side, drama on this. I'm like, I'm intrigued. I'm into this just to see who's going to be caught. And then all of a sudden it was like Clayton. I'm like, okay, well, this just completely soured the mood. And now I'm going to turn off this documentary. And yeah, then I saw people start tagging Susie, and I was like, okay, well, clearly I have to address this now because she's getting tagged by 100 tags a minute or whatever it was. And then I realized, yeah, it shifted really quickly from like, I put the popcorn down, put the pizza away, and I started, trying to figure out how I was going to find a way to prove my innocence.
Well,
Wow, isn't that wild? How fascinating. I've said a few times that I'm not going to make any more videos about this story, but we're learning more. And to just imagine, I mean, the only thing that could make this more interesting is if Clayton already had cameras on him watching this, and just to see that mood go from like being a consumer of drama to then being a part of the drama. Good on him for being able to prove where he was. We shouldn't need digital receipts to trust people, but this is the world we live in, where, people are out there claiming some stuff, and if you're a celebrity or an influencer, if you have something someone else wants, they'll use your name to get it. Look at Joe Rogan. Everyone makes Joe Rogan the center of their news. It's not because anyone cares about Joe Rogan. It's because they know if they talk about him, they'll get clicks. By the way, CNN Plus just announced that, what did they spend? $500 billion? They spent $100 million, excuse me. They spent $100 million developing CNN Plus, and then another like $400 million or something crazy like that, advertising it. And then after a month, they only got 10,000 subscribers, I believe. So they're quitting all of CNN Plus, which is run by, I think they have 300 employees, which just goes to show that old Dave Neal Enterprise over here, we've got the loyal audience. We have more of a loyal audience than CNN Plus, and no one's paying us $500 million. But either way, I appreciate you guys nonetheless. Thanks for watching this video. If there's any breaking news, I'll be here for it. I think I got 1 or 2 more days in Hawaii before I'm back in the mainland. I'll be back. My birthday's May 1st. I'll be doing that's on a Sunday. On May 2nd, I'll be doing a birthday live stream, probably about 2 p.m. Pacific time. So that'll be May 2nd. Oh yeah, because I have a show that night. in North Hollywood. You can come check that out. All right, anyway, that's it for me. We'll see you guys at that live stream. And in the meantime, have a good one, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye.